Yes, people of the channel, voiceover Alex has nearly lost his voice, but it'll be back, which is lucky as I have two speaking events at the end of this week. And you're looking at a time-lapse of Alan, my expedition lifeboat, about whom I have news.
People of the channel, subscribers, random people all over YouTube who have found this video whilst browsing, I have some news for you. Obviously I'm sat here in a marina on a pontoon dock next to Alan, my lifeboat, and first of all I hope you can hear me. There's a bit of a wind and actually a bit of rain coming from that way, but I'm hoping that my microphone is going to be relatively sheltered so you can hear me, and also for my husky voice because yeah, I've had a slight lurgy over the last couple of days, but hopefully kicking it soon. I have some news, and in particular I've decided to post it now because I think it's my responsibility to do so before I post actually what was to come, which are at least 2, maybe 3 more episodes of Alan's adventures on the water, and some of the additional maintenance and repair ones as well. But anyway, of course the main ones of us coming up to Shetland, which is where I am now. The news. This will be as far as I travel with Alan, and that's a really odd thing to actually have to put into words because I didn't think I would be saying it, but it's the right choice. And I'm going to start off by saying a few things that this is not. This is not a knee-jerk reaction to what happened a couple of weeks ago, which was a very, very undramatic, but nonetheless we had an engine failure out not too far offshore, but somewhere south of where we are now, and we required help from the RNLI, the British Lifeboat Charity. And that was, as I say, undramatic, and that would not be a reason for having a knee-jerk reaction to say, right, it's all off. It's also not a long-term cynical decision that I've been hatching for months and months and months whilst not keeping you in the loop. I've been 100% working towards the next stages, to the extent of arranging crew for what was going to be the biggest offshore section so far.
I had this fine pair of new balloon fenders delivered, suitable for the brasher and less forgiving quays and jetties we'd begun to encounter.
And if any more proof is needed, literally next to me right here is, oh, it's quite heavy, a large quantity of metal stock which were just supplied by, and I feel truly bad about this, but I do hope that this will come as some consolation, from Rapid Metals, who have been an amazing supporter of the channel for the last few months.
This is a fantastic opportunity for those of you inhabitants of the UK to support one of the companies who has made my job on here that bit easier. Rapid Metals have a 10% discount code set up for your use online, whether you are a trade in industry or a home DIYer or tinkerer. Metal stock from cast iron to marine grade stainless and copper, and a huge range of specifications. Do give the team a try, especially if you've tended to default to another supplier to date. Your code is RapidAlan10. It's not case sensitive, so upper and lower case is fine. RapidAlan10, all one word.
They've actually sent up the stock for me to fit those stabilizer boards to the side of the boat. So I promise you my intentions were not this. My intentions were to, if I possibly can, continue. The reasons behind this are a combination. The first being that this is an enormous project which has ballooned out of the proportion that it was originally supposed to, and it's not directly related to my main line of work, to my main expedition work in the Arctic. It was supposed to be, of course, a stepping stone towards that, but the scale and particularly the responsibility I felt to this part of the YouTube channel, remember the YouTube channel doesn't just have Alan stuff on it, has become kind of all consuming. And time management is something that I've always prided myself on, and I've made sure that it hasn't become completely unwieldy, but it has become deeply out of proportion. It's become quite a weight to bear. I adore making the videos, and I have learned so much technically from working on Alan, and also about working on the water, which is not my main area of expertise or training. So as a learning experience, it's been phenomenal. We've gone all the way from not quite the south coast of England, but you know, from the Thames estuary all the way up to the most northerly isles of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the United Kingdom. Of course, Shetland consider themselves quite rightly to have a different identity to the rest of Britain, and so you don't necessarily describe them in the same breath. So that's part of it. And the second one is Alan's safety offshore is significant. Alan is not going to randomly sink. Alan can deal with a great deal. But Alan has a shortcoming, and that is the fact that he is a single-engined, non-sail driven boat. And offshore, that's a big risk. And of course, you'll know from other episodes that I was looking at the opportunity of using electric backup propulsion. But for mainly financial reasons, I simply haven't been able to fund that. I've had the principle in place of having a set of modular electric motors run from generator and so on board, so that if we were to lose power really offshore and we needed to sit safely, along with a sea anchor, we'll be able to use some electric power to point ourselves safely into the waves and stop ourselves being broadsided by big waves. But ultimately I've not been able to fund it. And that is not the fault of people of the channel. The generosity, particularly in the last month or so, has been extraordinary. But offshore boats require a certain number of redundancies in order to remain safe. And Alan's original purpose was not to do even the North Sea, or particularly the Barents Sea, which is the very difficult bit of water between northern Norway and Svalbard, the island up in the high Arctic. In fact, the plan was to do a very short passage off the Alaskan coast. This is the original plan back in 2018, 2019. When I was working with my team and we were putting this all together, we were planning a short passage on good weather directly to where the pack ice would be. And of course, pack ice really attenuates the size of waves, and so you would never deal with large ocean waves there. And so I've had to work on the basis that the journey that we were going to be using Alan on here is different to what I originally envisaged for this boat. And my conclusion, of course, having taken advice from lots of other people, some of them online, some of them being you guys, but some of them, of course, being those who I trust from the boating and the maritime industry, is that given what I have learned over the past few weeks, and particularly with the slight break of trust that I now have with the engine, which had previously not skipped a beat, having a single screw boat without the option of using a sail to make any form of progress or even just to control direction is not something that is wise to continue with. And for that reason, I think it's the right thing to do to say that Alan has come as far as Alan should go. So my responsibility now is to make sure that both Alan and everything on board Alan doesn't just go to a home, but it goes to the right home and has a future of some sort, an interesting future of some sort. Now, we're on a small island quite a way north of the British Isles right now, so this is not the boat sales mecca of the universe, but of course it is a fundamentally boating society here. So I'm hoping that I might be able to find the right person, because what happens to Alan deeply matters to me. I have spent thousands of hours working on this boat, and I've brought you along for some of those hours, and I refuse to let that end up in a sort of sad, dilapidated end state. The other thing that this is not going to be is, first of all, the end of Alan videos. There will be more videos, particularly the ones that I'm cutting together now, and I will continue to do my very best to make them good and interesting. I'll do my very best, and to continue in the same vein that they always have. But also, it's certainly not going to be the end of the channel, and I appreciate that there may well be a kickback to this. I really hope that you take what I said earlier about this not being a knee-jerk reaction and this not being a long, cynical plan at face value. It's the truth. I hope that you'll stick with me. And I promise there will be a lot more Arctic stuff, but also there will be more design and build things. Maybe not based around a lifeboat, but I promise there will be design and build and all sorts of technical stuff, as well as stories and journeys and experiences. So I'm realistic. I know that some people will probably think that the channel may not be for them anymore. Stick with us if you possibly can, please. And I will do my very, very best to keep the quality of the channel as high as I possibly can, and to keep it interesting and novel. So thank you to everyone who's been with me on this project, from companies to big supporters to smaller supporters. It simply wouldn't have been possible before. And I know that my tone can be, well, my tone is very much my own, isn't it? I don't tend to do all the sort of the over the top thank yous and all the sentimental stuff, but wow, it's been a pretty big chunk of the last few years for me, and I don't regret it, and I hope that you don't either, coming on this part of the journey with me. Anyhow, I have a lot of responsibility to this lump behind me, and I promise I will do my absolute best to do the right thing by him. But I thought, as I said, that this would be the right thing to do and tell you straight away, rather than waiting for the other episodes to come out and then tell you the news. I thought that you have a responsibility to know what I've decided to do straight away. Those of you who are subscribers, I'd love it if you'd stay. I hope that it will simply be a redirection of the channel, but not one that changes the essence of it. And also, if any of you who have particularly subscribed very recently with the anticipation of us about to go to Norway feel aggrieved by this decision, I get it. Email me and we can sort out a solution, particularly those who have come on board after, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago when I made a big plea for new subscribers. It was done in good faith. And also, I promise I will leave all comments on this episode. I will not remove any difficult or disappointed or negative comments. I've always kept the principle that if a comment is not spam, then it stays on the channel, so you guys have a good representation of what is being said by who. On that, I will finish, and I will continue now working to find homes for all of the important things on board. Luckily, a friend nearby, one of the fishermen nearby, has taken care of the diesel already, but there's a lot of work decommissioning Alan from his current life, ready for his next life. Thank you for listening, and yeah, it's a sad moment, but it was the right thing to do. Bye.